comes to world building in the Mario franchise, Mario Kart is a very underrated factor. There are so many locations that this series has introduced or given us a fresh new look at, but that seems to be going under the radar. And I suspect that has to do with the fact the exact locations of these courses are often unknown. So how about we change that? I want to go through every Nitro course in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and try to figure out where in the Mushroom Kingdom or beyond they might be located. We'll save retro courses for their own game of origin, so let me know if that's something you're interested in. We're gonna start with the Mushroom Cup, of course, which kicks off with the surprisingly difficult Mario Kart Stadium. There is little in terms of scenery here, and the theme doesn't help much either, considering it's probably fair to assume at this point that even in-universe Mario Kart is a worldwide phenomenon. That said, the skyscrapers in the background tell us the stadium is at least located in a large city, unlike some other circuits we've seen in the past, which appear to be more in the middle of nowhere. While the only place we've actually seen skyscrapers like that in the main series is in New Donk City, I would say Mushroom City in the Mushroom Kingdom is a more likely location for this course, but again, it's a tricky one to start with. Next is Water Park, which is actually a bit of a strange location design-wise, because it isn't entirely clear whether this location is supposed to be flooded or whether that's accidental. The name implies it's the entire point of the park, but at the same time an underwater merry-go-round is a very strange attraction. Anyway, we're not here to rag on the park, but to pin down the location, which is again not easy to do. The huge W on the Ferris wheel may suggest a connection to Wario, but that is not the case. The design is different from how his W is usually portrayed, and any further connections aren't present. Based on how this sign, showing how tall you must be, depicts a Goomba and Mario as reference, I would say this is probably another location in the Mushroom Kingdom, but it is also likely it's probably located somewhere closer to Isle Delfino as well. The reason for this is that Nokis can be seen visiting the park, and we haven't seen them outside of Isle Delfino too often. They're also not common crowd members in Mario Kart 8 at all. This is the only Nitro course they appear in fact, so that is significant. The next course in the Mushroom Cup is Sweet Sweet Canyon, and this is finally one where I can confidently say I know where it is. I would be absolutely shocked if this location isn't far beyond the Mushroom Kingdom in the depths of space, somewhere near or around the Sweet Sweet Galaxy that appears in Mario Galaxy 1. The name is the same, the design is similar, there is nothing visible in Sweet Sweet Canyon to suggest it's anywhere near the familiar Mario world, and the course even appears on advertisements for Galaxy Air. Yeah, this is a closed case for me. Unfortunately, the last course of the Mushroom Cup is far from a slam dunk, and is probably the hardest one to pin down in the entire game. And that's a shame, because Thwomp Ruins is a very cool and intriguing location, but there are no landmarks to go off whatsoever, and this is not a locale we've seen too often in Mario games, even spin-offs. So yeah, unfortunately, beyond a general connection to perhaps Thwomp Volcano from Partners in Time thematically, there isn't much to say about Thwomp Ruins, but if you have any ideas, share them in the comments below. On to the Flower Cup, where the courses may be getting a little harder, but pinning down their location actually does not. Mario Circuit is incredibly obvious, since the most prominent landmark of the Mushroom Kingdom is located right in the center of it. The scale and giant zero-gravity race course around it is definitely new, but this is unmistakably Princess Peach's castle, so that is easily solved. Toad Harbor's location is also quite easy to figure out, as the entire race course is really just a new addition to the Mushroom Kingdom. While the town itself is based on San Francisco, the in-game version is clearly meant to be a coastal city in the Mushroom Kingdom. The Statue of Liberty featuring Peach and the many references to Mario, Luigi and Wario make all the more clear this is a Mushroom Kingdom location. Also interesting to note is that wherever on the coast of the Mushroom Kingdom this course is, N64 Rainbow Road is located right above it, as can be seen when racing on that course. While Twisted Mansion may appear at first sight to be based and set around Luigi's Mansion, it's actually more likely to be a ghost house turned race course. And specifically one of the ghost houses seen in New Super Mario Bros. 2. The reason for that is the prominent statue of Behemoth, a big Boo that only appears in that 3DS game, meaning there is most likely some connection between this ghost house and the two in the game where Behemoth appears. Shy Guy Falls is the hardest location to pin down in this cup, by far, because the only real connection to be made is to a fellow Mario Kart course, Wario's Gold Mine. Both are mining areas where Shy Guys work under the flag of Shy Guy Metals, so those two being related seems likely. But the locale of Shy Guy Falls itself is not something we've seen often in the Mario games. Don't get me wrong, waterfalls have appeared before, but never surrounded by this kind of landscape. Probably the closest resemblance can be found in the Mario movie, during this section that references the flying Cheep Cheep stages from Super Mario Bros. So maybe that is a nearby location? It's hard to say for sure. On to the Star Cup, which opens with Sunshine Airport. This is clearly a location somewhere on Isle Delfino we didn't get to visit during Super Mario Sunshine. The theming is abundantly clear. Not only do Mario, Peach and Toadsworth literally arrive at Isle Delfino by plane, the weather is also a perfect match, as is of course the theming of the airport around Shine Sprites. Considering there are still locations on Isle Delfino we don't see in Sunshine, it seems obvious to me that is where Sunshine Airport is. While the next course, Dolphin Shoals, is also clearly set in a tropical climate, we actually know for a fact it isn't anywhere near Isle Delfino. The reason for that is that Sunshine Airport offers flights from Isle Delfino to Dolphin Shoals, which wouldn't be necessary if they were both on the same island. Although I guess it is possible Dolphin Shoals is one of those surrounding islands we see in the intro of Sunshine. That said, I think it's much more likely this course is on a different island entirely, being Dinosaur Island from Super Mario World. And the reason for that is very simple. Dolphins are surprisingly rare in the Mario world. They're only ever found on Dinosaur Island, in the Vanilla Dome to be specific, and spin-offs with unspecified locations. So the chances of Dolphin Shoals being in the Vanilla Dome on Dinosaur Island are quite large, I would say. Next is Electrodrome, which is a very unusual location for the Mario series. A nightclub where raves are held is nothing we see too often, and since we don't get a look at the club's exterior, it's extremely hard to say where this might be. Based on the general dark theme, lack of toads around, and the constant Larry Koopa mentions around the course, I'm thinking this course may be set somewhere in Bowser's Kingdom, the not too often seen region where Bowser's Castle is located. I could especially see Electrodrome being somewhere in Neo Bowser City, that seems very fitting. The final track for this cup is Mount Wario, which is both a snowy mountain and a ski resort, with especially the latter being another location we don't see too often in the Mario series. We have seen so many snowscapes and mountainous peaks over the course of the series that it's basically impossible to figure out which one Wario could have possibly turned into a business venture, especially since thematically the most similar locales are actually found in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games. But yeah, those are set in real life, so I don't know how feasible that is. Onto the Special Cup, which begins with a very peculiar setting in Cloud Top Cruise. While we can't exactly pin it down, it's clear this is set somewhere in the skies of a traditional Mario course. We have a giant question mark block with a beanstalk growing out of it and plenty of Bowser's airships around, both of which are staples of the classic 2D titles and found high up above the standard levels. I've looked into whether there are any levels that feature both vines as well as an airship, but the answer as far as I could find is no, so we can't precisely nail down where this course might be located. Bone Dry Dunes is actually in a similar position, in that it is clearly based on desert themes, as are very common in Mario games, but we can't precisely nail down where this track is found. There are no desert levels I know with sand this deeply red, which would have been a very easy tell for a potential location. The giant rock bearing the image of Dry Bowser may suggest this location is in Bowser territory though, which may explain why the sand looks so different from the more yellow color we encounter more often. In which case, it would at least be in the same kingdom as the next course, Bowser's Castle. While there are some Bowser's Castle tracks throughout the series based on more specific castles, this one is a quite generic one, and most likely just meant to be his general castle, as we most often see it in the Super Mario titles. Mario Kart 8's version of Rainbow Road is difficult to literally place, since we see nothing of note beneath the course, like was the case with the aforementioned N64 Rainbow Road, but it can't be too far off Mario's version of Earth either. The reason for that is because we drive in between satellites and space stations, belonging to Mario Kart TV, the broadcaster of the game, and Rexa, which is a sponsor that stands for Rainbow Exploration Agency. It's a reference to the real-life Japanese space research organization JAXA. But since these satellites presumably orbit around Mario's Earth, we at least know this version of Rainbow Road isn't as far out in the galaxy as Mario's adventures in the Galaxy games, for example. On to the DLC courses, many of which are very obviously not set in the Mushroom Kingdom, or the Mario universe at all really. But for the sake of completion, let's quickly tackle these as well. Hyrule Circuit is set in Hyrule, the region where the majority of Legend of Zelda games take place. Mute City and Big Blue are both locations in the F-Zero universe, which doesn't really have a name, similar to Excitebike Arena and the Excitebike universe. Animal Crossing is based on a generic Animal Crossing town, which is kind of the whole world in most of these games. Much more interesting are the original courses set in the Mario world, the first of which was Dragon Driftway. Now, a recurring image in this track is Gobblegut, a boss from Mario Galaxy 2, but there is no way this course is set in the galaxies where it can be found in that game. The location appears to be more Chinese inspired, with Lakidus also prominently featured, although that doesn't help us too much either. Probably the biggest hint can be found in the music, which contains some elements from the theme for the Chai Kingdom that appears in Super Mario Land. Seeing as this region in Sarasa Land is also based on China, it does seem like the most likely map location for this course. Didn't expect to pin a course down for Sarasa Land in this video, but if it checks out, it checks out. Next is Ice Ice Outpost, which is basically impossible to pin down. There is nothing recognizable here from a landmark standpoint, as icy worlds like this one are super common, and we have not seen oil drilling anywhere else in the Mario series as far as I can remember. There is an advertisement here for a Toad Polar Expedition though, suggesting that world map wise, this might be in the Mario equivalent to the North or South Pole, in which case the Snow Kingdom and Shiveria from Mario Odyssey might not be too far away. Wild Woods probably is, seeing as the course is located in a forest of giant trees. While we have seen countless of huge trees throughout all corners of the Mario series, none appear to be quite a match to what this course offers, especially when looking at the indoor sections with the houses. I guess the Barkley Woods from Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door are not too dissimilar, but it doesn't feel right to call this the same area. The Wooded Kingdom does bear a bit of a resemblance to the Wild Woods, but I can't say I'm confident these two are near one another. It's simply the best guess we have. One that we can pin down though is Super Bell Subway, which is actually set in a subway station known as the Golden Bell. It also features a map of the city it's located in, with Toad Harbor marked as well, informing us that it is close by. There is also a subway rail map available featuring all the courses of Mario Kart 8 on it, retro tracks included, but this really tells us more about the quality of these subways than the location of the courses. After all, you're not gonna tell me Moo Moo Meadows, Twisted Mansion and Sherbet Land are close together, that makes no sense. Especially since Moo Moo Meadows is actually marked on the city map from earlier as being just outside the city, relatively close to Toad Harbor and the subway itself. So yeah, the real map makes no in-universe sense and I don't consider it a reliable source. And since the Booster Course Pass only features retro tracks or courses brought over from Tor, this was the final track to cover for this video. What are your theories as to where Mario Kart 8's courses are located? Or would you like to see me tackle another Mario Kart game next? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel to stay updated on all my future Mario content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.